The broadcasting world is often filled with bright lights, polished smiles, and perfectly timed conversations. But behind the cameras, behind the professionalism and charm, there are very real lives being lived. And today, one of those lives belongs to Craig Melvin, whose unexpected personal crisis has left fans deeply concerned. According to new reports, Craig recently reached a critical turning point, one that forced him to confront a part of his life he had been quietly avoiding. Insiders say this moment didn't unfold on live television or during a news assignment, but at home, during an evening that started out like any other. Craig had returned from a long day at NBC, exhausted but determined, as always, to spend time with his children, Delano and Sybil. He played with them, asked about their day, even helped with homework. But Lindsay noticed something unusual. He seemed distracted, slower, his words slightly slurred at the edges. At first he laughed it off. "Just tired," he said, brushing away her concerns with a familiar smile. But as the evening went on, his fatigue became more pronounced. He struggled to stand. He gripped the kitchen counter for balance. And then came the moment that Lindsay would later describe as the moment my heart cracked. Craig collapsed, silently, suddenly, and terrifyingly. Lindsay called 911 with a trembling voice, but somehow kept her composure. Paramedics arrived within minutes, transporting Craig to the hospital as Lindsay followed closely behind, their children watching from the doorway with confusion and fear. At the hospital, doctors began running tests, neurological scans, blood panels, cardio evaluations. Hours passed. Machines hummed. Nurses moved briskly through the room. Lindsay never left Craig's side. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, doctors presented their early findings. Craig was suffering from a severe stress-related neurological event, triggered by prolonged stress, irregular sleep patterns, and intense work schedule that had gradually overwhelmed his body. While not life-threatening at that moment, doctors were clear. Another episode could be far more dangerous. For Lindsay, the diagnosis was a mixture of relief and heartbreak. Relief because Craig was alive, conscious, and recovering. Heartbreak because she had warned him, she had seen the signs, she had begged him to slow down. But like so many who carry the weight of responsibilities, Craig kept telling himself he could push through. He believed he had to be strong, not just for his family, but for his viewers, his co-workers, and the expectations placed upon him. This time, his body pushed back. In the hours that followed, as Craig rested under observation, Lindsay made a decision. A quiet, resolute, unwavering decision. She would not let him return to his old habits. She would not let him sacrifice his health for deadlines, and she would not allow him to pretend that he was invincible. A close family friend later revealed that Lindsay took Craig's hand that night and whispered something that brought both of them to tears. "You promised me forever." And forever means taking care of yourself. The next day, Lindsay released a public message on behalf of their family. It was simple, but deeply emotional. "Craig is recovering, and we are grateful. This has been a wake-up call for our family, a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of balance. We are asking for your prayers, your compassion, and the time Craig needs to heal." Messages of support began pouring in almost immediately. Fellow anchors spoke lovingly about Craig's dedication and kindness. Fans shared stories about how his warmth had helped them through difficult days. The Today Show dedicated a brief segment to him, assuring viewers he would return, but only when fully ready. Hospital staff say Lindsay has remained steady, even as emotions run high. She brings in letters from the children, reads uplifting notes from fans, and gently encourages Craig to rest without guilt. One nurse described a touching moment. He apologized to her for scaring the family. She just held his face in her hands and said, "No more apologizing. Just come back to us, slowly, safely, completely." Today, Craig is beginning early recovery, taking small steps, following medical guidance, and, for the first time in years, allowing himself to slow down. And for Lindsay, one thing is clear. She intends to make sure he keeps that promise of forever.